Welcome to the Valencia Property Podcast, all about moving to Valencia. Your move to Valencia. Enjoy. So, firstly, why did we decide to do a podcast? Well, we do a long-form blog every week which deep dives into an aspect of buying property here in Valencia. Lots of people like consuming the content orally, and therefore, if you can put it with my voice, then this is a way to get information across to people who don't want to read those often very long blog posts. We also found out that some people get a reader to read the blog posts out for them orally, and the machine learning AI has got to have a worse accent than me, right? Also, everyone has a podcast now on all sorts of subjects, and if anyone knows a lot about a certain subject, they bring out a podcast about it to complement the YouTube channel, the blog and more. It's all about reach. The more people we can reach out to and help, the better, as we see all of the pitfalls that can be found in buying property in Spain, so we can help you to be prepared. What will be in the podcast though, we are still not quite sure. We've outlined the first few episodes and have an idea of what we want to do moving forward. It's likely to be weekly, although I'm not very good at keeping to a schedule, and each week we're likely to have a theme. But we're also going to answer questions, so we'll be asking for your voice notes with your queries too. And based on that, our first query on announcing the podcast was upcoming came in from a client who's already bought with us. Thanks, Corinne. She thought it would be useful for people to have an expectation of timelines for their purchase and any potential modernisation. So we're going to do this in two parts. Today, we're going to look at the expectation of timelines, how long should you start looking before you come over and things like that. And then we'll look into modernisations further down the line. Today, we'll just go with the basics of any modernisation. So the first question is, when should you start looking? And obviously, you should start looking now, or rather yesterday, or last week, or last month, or last year. And if you could get a time machine, go back 5-6 years and just buy everything you can. However, there's no time like the present to start, so get looking right now. The first step that we often say to people is the consultation call. We first try to set up a consultation call via Skype, WhatsApp, Zoom. We all love doing those things now, don't we? So we get to know you and you get to know us. Yeah, we'll do it by video, even if we're having a bad hair day, even if it's difficult to find a room, we'll manage to do it. In the call, you can ask us anything about everything, and we'll probably be able to answer you as the questions are repeated over the years. And if we can't, then we probably know someone who can. Think tax questions and stuff like that, because everyone's tax situation is different. The consultation call process came out of lockdown and was one of the most popular things we did in that time. I had to find something to do during lockdown, so I just said to anyone, if you want a consultation call, get in touch. People love it. They find it really useful as a starting point for their search. So once you've had the consultation call, what tools do you start looking with? Well, our website is a good starting point, valenciaproperty.com. That's valencia-property.com, of course. Don't get it mixed up with that rubbish valenciaproperty.com. But anyway, we don't have everything for sale, of course, on our site. You should also be looking at portals where agents advertise. We do this every day. And you should be favouriting stuff you like, both on our website and also on the portals. The easiest portal to do this on is also the biggest, fortunately, Idealista. It's got a very good way of being able to do this. Favourite a load of properties on there. The search features are great on Idealista, so you can narrow down your search to what you want and be brutal in your requirements. And then do the following. Share your Idealista login with us. Now I just want to say that if your email is your normal one and your password is password or 123, we're going to assume you're not very tech savvy, but just to reassure you, we won't hack into your Facebook or your crypto and steal all your crypto because you use the same passwords everywhere. Set up a different password on your Idealista login and then share your login with us. There's a box for putting comments and your favourites in there. And guess what? Once we're logged in, we can respond to your comments in there. If we know the particular property, and we probably will in many cases, we'll tell you why it's great, okay, terrible, or the real reason it's been on sale for around 3 years. It's a good start, but the real first step you should do a couple of months before you come over. The first step. We wrote an article last year about taking the first step on buying Valencia property, and within that article there's a form, and that form you should fill in once you have a very clear idea about what you want. The form has got your must-haves, your would-likes, and your definitely mustn't-haves. This will help us to suggest others that may suit, other properties that is, and start putting feelers out about properties that may suit you for when you take your visit. We'll also be able to favourite properties for you and put them in your Idealista account for you to look at and comment on. Because we want to make sure we've got the right idea of what you like. The properties you like initially may be very different to the properties you go and see when you get here. You might do this step twice, in other words, because when you start out on your property search, you might have very different criteria to what you finish up with. So initially, you do the first step, and then just before you visit, you drill down on what you really want and send us the form again. Back and forth. Now, between that first step and when you come over, there'll be plenty of back and forth. With us, that is. Suggestions, questions, news, etc. You might want to sign up for our WhatsApp notification list during this time for new blog posts, price drops, new podcasts, interesting news and more. Once you get here though, we're ready to hit the ground running if there's been plenty of back and forth. Don't just phone us up one day and say, "We're here," because we'll probably be very busy. Booking your trip. Now, COVID permitting, of course, once you have your trip booked with dates and where you are staying, then let us know so we can pencil you in for your visits. Let us know if you want an orientation day. More of that in a future podcast about exactly what an orientation day is, whether you want to start searching for a house straight away, or whether location is the first thing to decide. Is this just a recce before you actually do any purchasing, or are you here to buy? When we meet up, we'll take you for visits to the city, to the towns, to the areas, to properties, to lawyers, to currency companies, to banks. We'll do everything with you, holding you by the hand. Depends on how much information we have from you prior to your arrival. As a buyer's agent, most of our clients work exclusively with us in order to see as many suitable properties as needed. This cannot be done if you just give us 2 hours at a lunchtime on a Sunday. Our extensive knowledge and work requires your attention. So if you're planning to visit every agent under the sun while here, expect us to tell you we're busy working with others, because we will be. Try to be here for as long as possible, and to be able to do everything you need to do to buy your Valencia property, we'll need time. It may be that the first property you see you really love and you go for it, but usually that's not the case. We'll give you as much help as needed, but we require your collaboration to do that. Our record speaks for itself, as you will hear when we interview people who've already made the move in future podcasts. Now, every week on the podcast, we're going to make 3 recommendations. We're going to recommend a video, we're going to recommend an article, and we're going to recommend a property. However, this week is slightly different because, firstly, our recommended video was actually made during lockdown in 2020, so it's actually 1.5 years old now. In it, I made some predictions for the Spanish property market moving forward after COVID. I also had a beard for the first time in my life. That's now gone, you'll be glad to hear. My wife is very happy that it's gone. Search on YouTube for the Valencia and Spanish property markets after COVID-19, and you'll find this video. Put any comments in it if you want, but make sure you look at it and it tell you what I thought was going to happen, because the majority of what I said is going to happen has actually happened, but I did get one major thing wrong. Let's see whether you can work out what it was. The second thing we're going to recommend on every podcast is an article. And the recommended article this time is obviously the first step article. Take the first step in order to buy Valencia property. It's in our blog posts, and if you go to valencia-property.com/new, You can search our blog post and just put first step and it'll come up. It's a very interesting article because it helps you to get clear about what you want in your own mind. And finally, every week we're going to recommend a property. But this week it's slightly different because we're going to recommend basically all of them. Any properties that go on our website are worth it. We don't put properties on that are not worth it, whether it's because of price, whether it's because of location, whether it's because of bargain, whether it's because it's going to suit a certain type of person, whatever. So this week the recommended property is all of them. Go to the homepage at valencia-property.com and take a look at the listings. There are plenty that may take your fancy, and feel free to favourite things. You'll need to sign in order to do that. And from the next episode of the podcast, we'll be recommending individual properties and telling you why we love them. And next week, or whenever we get round to doing the next podcast, we're going to talk about God Bless America and tell you why more and more Americans are coming to Valencia. It's a very happy thing for us because we love working with American clients because we only get the good ones. In the sense of we get the Democrats, not the MAGA nuts. Yeah, but we'll talk more about MAGA nuts next week. Anyway, from the Valencia Property Podcast, it's been good speaking with you. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully it wasn't too long and it didn't take up too much of your time. And next week, we'll see you again. This has been a podcast from Valencia Property. You can find us on our homepage at www.valencia-property.com. Also, if you put a backslash and new onto that, you'll get our blog, but you can find it on the homepage anyway. You can get in touch with us on information@valencia-property.com, or you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, of course, on Valencia Property. We're on Twitter, that's Greyhunt, Grahunt, and that's Graham Hunt who's here, this is who's talking. And you can also find us on Instagram. Wherever you find us, we hope to see you in Valencia soon.